Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with Big City Greens episodes 7 and 8. So far this series has been pretty good. Nothing like amazing or spectacular, but I've been enjoying it. It's a nice, calming, relaxing ride. Um, and we'll kind of just continue to go as we go and see how I continue to feel about it. Um, I'm probably not going to get through the whole season in one go. We're probably going to have to take a break at some point. And that some point's probably going to be semi soon. Um, because if we're on 7 and 8 here, I'm probably going to want to take it probably around like maybe episode 15. Let's see, 7, 8. If it's all continues to be 2, then maybe 13, 14 or 15, 16. One of those two. Um, and it's just because I feel like I'm going to need to take a break from this series because with it being so episodic and everything, it's a series that's fun and nice and everything, but it doesn't hold my attention enough to force my way through um like for too long. And it's not like it's Ghost of Miley McGee, which is so insanely good for an episodic series, mostly episodic series. It's not like that. It's a much more chill type of show, something you can just sit around and vibe to. Nothing big, nothing special. I don't see this series having a big storyline, but I might be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong. But this seems like the kind of series where even like premiere and finale stuff is going to be more along the lines of, oh, we're learning valuable life lessons more so than anything, and that's fine. That's all well and good, but you get what I'm saying. It's nothing to write home about. It's nothing amazing. It's just it's good. It's fun. It's nice. So the question kind of now goes to, what do we do from here? Where do we take this? How do we handle it? Yada yada yada. Again, like I said, we're going to continue on for now and probably take a break. But I don't see myself dropping this because it is entertaining me enough. I don't know how long the break will end up being, but we'll definitely get back to it, I feel. But like I said, we're probably going to wait a few episodes, unless for some reason after this episode, or these two episodes, I feel like a little more, how would I put it? I just feel like I need to take a break, if that makes sense. If I feel that way, then I will do that, but I hopefully shouldn't. Hopefully. Um, but yeah, so that's the general gist of it all. I just wanted to get that out there and let you guys know um, how I'm feeling regarding this series. Just want to basically check you guys in and again, just give my opinions, give my thoughts, tell you where my head's at. And yeah. So, per usual, I don't know what to expect going into this, especially with a series like this that is as kooky as it tends to be. But hopefully, it ends up proving to be very enjoyable. We're going to find out though, so let's just get to this and hope for the best. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then it fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episodes. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So yeah, like I said before, this is just continuing to be a nice, fun, easy to vibe with kind of slice of life show. Nothing spectacular, no big stories, but it builds the characters in a way that makes you just, you know, care about them. You grow to love these characters because of all the depth given to them by these little stories. Um, Now this is like again 3 seasons long currently, and I don't see how a show like this, though, if it doesn't introduce a main story, could go on too long. And it's like you can't even cite something like The Simpsons because The Simpsons grew very stale. When you have a slice of life show that's just about the characters and their little fun adventures and stuff, there's not as much you can do as you would think. Things will start to become repetitive and just feel old. So unless you introduce a notable story of some degree, some kind of like big story elements, or start to expand on much of the other characters, it's not going to be able to last forever. And even if you expand on a lot of the other characters, it won't be able to last forever. Again, Simpsons very much is evidence of that. So I don't know if there's plans for any more seasons after season 3, but I'm kind of hoping not. I feel like a 3 season uh, run for this show would be fitting. I think going on past that would be starting to push it. Um, and I'm saying all this because I am enjoying this, because I do find this to be enjoyable and good, and I don't want to see it overstay its welcome. I don't want to see this series go down the Simpsons route. I want it to, just end off to where it's still at a good place. And I feel like 3 seasons would still allow that to happen, but again, going past that starts to push it. You would have to introduce way too many new elements, and then it would just start feeling bloated, and it's just like, I feel like right now it's working, and I just don't want it to not work. I'm genuinely kind of worried about that. If this does keep up like that, again, if it starts to introduce like a notable story to itself, that's a different story. That's a completely different situation. If it actually started to introduce like story elements that like are like big carryover things, then that could change everything, mind you. But I still don't think it should go on too long. I don't think most any show should, honestly. There's very few shows that can make that work. Even My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, which had 9 seasons, even that started to have some trouble in the later seasons with keeping things fresh. It made it work by introducing some new elements and new races and everything to work off of, but it also had to go into a lot more ongoing narratives, such as with the school friendship and whatnot. It actually had to introduce ongoing narratives and ideas in order to make it work. It couldn't just keep up being as slice of lifey as it was. It wasn't possible. So even that had to make notable changes in order to work as properly as it could. And to be fair, though, even the first season had somewhat of an ongoing narrative. Like it was setting up for the Grand Gallic Gala, like during the rest of the season with a couple episodes here and there. So it's not like that just came out of nowhere at the end. So even season 1 had something like that. Um, but like I would say it was really season 4 that like truly began having the story elements brought in, like the ongoing narratives. And it just like continued to get more notable from there. But anywho, so let's actually talk about these episodes. So first off, we had Tilly being a babysitter. I don't remember what the name of the episode actually was, but When Bill has to take Grandma to the hospital to get a checkup, because, you probably should do that, especially at her age, um, he decides to leave Tilly in charge because, yeah, obviously. Um, Cricket, however, wants to take the opportunity of not having his father and Grandma around to, cause havoc and be a kid, basically. But the problem is, obviously, his shenanigans could be dangerous or could just, get them into trouble. Could cause a lot of problems. And Tilly is worried about how she'll look as a responsible babysitter if Cricket goes ahead with this stuff. Which is fair, honestly. So she tries to get him to stop, and so her thought is, okay, when we had to get the cat to behave, we put him in the dishwasher with all the dirty dishes because apparently the cat hates dirty dishes or is just like scared of dirty dishes. And so it's like, okay. So her plan is to do something that would make Cricket afraid to act up like this. And so she basically makes it so that the plan he has is basically going to just go too far, and it does. And ends up launching him into a tree, which causes his arm to be popped out of its socket. Um, which obviously causes him pain, freaks him out, and gives Tilly a shit ton of guilt. Especially with him, like, seemingly thinking that she is just looking out for him, and she realizes, like, I kind of did this and everything. It's like, geez. They try to do a couple things to try and, like, cast it and everything, but realize they just have to go to the hospital. So they put on disguises, which is like, yeah, kids would do that. They go to the hospital, and yeah, it's popped out of its socket, and they kind of accidentally fix it because he overhears Tilly telling the nurse about what happened, and she she spills everything that causes him to be upset at her. He's going to go tell their dad, and while they're like, while the chase down the hallway is going on, she causes his arm to be popped back into the socket. So he has no proof; he won't be believed, and so yeah, they choose not to tell him. And then afterwards they race him back home, um, and everything, I guess, is fine. And during while they're at the hospital, by the way, Bill ends up getting checked up as well because he seems like he's not doing too great. Which he's a parent. It's like, yeah, being tired and stressed and everything that comes with the job. But you see, like, Grandma's like in perfect health, and it's like, okay. It was a fun episode. It's like, my issue with it was obviously with the fact that it was trying to act as if Tilly was in the wrong for wanting to be a good babysitter. And I know that wasn't the intent. I know that's not what they were going for, but that is what it was basically saying. Um, there is nothing wrong with her wanting to be a good babysitter, and hell, even getting noticed for being a good babysitter. She wanted her dad to acknowledge her, and she wanted that cred. It's like there's nothing wrong with that. And it's like the idea it paints is like, oh, like she was putting that before her brother's own safety or something. And it's like, no, they literally went hand in hand. That's the only thing I had issue with that episode. It felt like it was trying to teach a good lesson, but just failed at it. Because it didn't seem to really know how to teach that lesson without making Tilly the bad guy, which she was not. Like, Tilly did nothing wrong. I mean, outside of when she launched Cricket through the air. That's the only thing she did wrong. But that's not what the episode, like, obviously is going to say that's wrong, but that's not even the biggest thing about it. It tries to paint her as wrong for, again, wanting to be recognized as a good babysitter. There's nothing wrong with that. Ugh. But anyways, Backflip Bill, the second episode here, episode 8. This one was by far the better one, and not just because of that issue I had with the first one. Backflip Bill was a lot more fun, a lot more interesting, and just overall had, in my opinion, a better lesson delivery. So, we find out that when Bill was young, seemingly based on the flashbacks and the picture and everything, seemingly a little older than Cricket and Tilly, though, still, like, probably teenager. But when he was young, he was into gymnastics. And it was a passion of his. It was something he loved. So, Cricket kind of comes to realize that Grandma was his coach and was not a good coach. Though Cricket thinks she gave up on him. Though it's pretty clear that that's not what happened. It's pretty clear that he chickened out. Though the reason for which we find out later. So, he basically creates this challenge. It's like, I'm going to coach him. It's going to be awesome. Let's do this shit. So they take him to the gymnastics center, and he does seem to get a hang of it again pretty quickly. And in fact, he's really fucking good despite his age, and you know, his body not being the best anymore. He's still really fucking good. And it's like, that's extremely impressive for a lot of reasons. And so we see that there's going to be a competition. And so Cricket wants to enter him in it, and he even agrees. Unfortunately, Cricket starts becoming obsessed with winning rather than having fun. And he makes, as it's put in the episode, the same mistakes that Grandma did. He starts putting so much pressure and just starts, like, focusing so much on the win that it drives Bill, like, insane, basically. He loses his mind because the pressure and everything gets to him, and he can't handle it and freaks out and runs off. We see that that's what happened in the past, that Grandma made that same mistake, and Cricket realizes this. He goes out there, talks to him, and is like, I'm sorry. I made this mistake. I'm not going to be your coach anymore. I'll be your cheerleader instead. And it's like, oh, that's nice. That's cute. I like that. So Bill gives it one more shot in this competition and ends up getting 6th place. But he decides he got to live this out one last time. He's going to retire because his body can't handle it anymore. But he had fun, and it was worth it. It was worth it to be able to give this one last go. And I think that's a great way to do this. Not only to have him acknowledge that he can't do this again at his age and with the shape his body's in, but that getting to experience it at least one more time meant the world to him. And I love the lesson that you shouldn't pressure people. That you when people are trying to, like, achieve something, you need to cheer them on. You need to give them, you know, that boost of confidence and hope. If you put so much pressure on them that it breaks them, you're the one at fault. And unfortunately, this does go on to other things besides just gymnastics or competitions or sports or whatnot. This can equate to anything pretty much. Like, it can equate to just someone's everyday life. It's like, oh, you put pressure on this person to do, like, the best at their job, and they're a failure if they don't, or you put this pressure on this person to go to college and get this amazing career, and if they don't, they're a failure. It's like, come on. That ruins lives when you do shit like that. You have to let people do things at their pace and in their way, and you have to cheer them on. You can't just judge them and treat them as if they're shit if they don't live up to some lofty expectations. So I like that this episode gave us that lesson. That's a really big, important lesson to learn. Both for the kids that are going to be watching this and even for parents who are going to be watching this with their kids. It's something they're going to have to realize as well. That all that pressure and everything that they were putting on their kids or going to be putting on their kids, it's like that's not healthy. It's not okay. And even Grandma ended up learning that lesson in the end. Even she started cheering instead. And so it's like, cool. Cool. It was just a good episode. Tilly was hilarious in it. Getting to work as an announcer and everything. And everybody's reactions to her were great. Like the one gymnastics coach that was there, he's like, are you talking to me? She's like, I'm talking to everyone. And then that little girl who's like, I'm just gonna go. It's wonderful. I love those kind of jokes. That's really good. So yeah, again, these episodes weren't anything like spectacular or whatnot, but I'm not gonna put that kind of pressure on this show to be that. I'm gonna let this show be what it is, and whether I continue to like that or not is completely up in the air. But I'm not gonna try to like force this show to live up to my expectations. It is what it is, and I'm just going to go with that. Again, if I end up like losing interest in it, then I do. I'm not gonna like be mad at the show for not being what I want it to be. It's just it's not for me in that case. But I don't know if it's going to reach that point, and so far I don't see it reaching that point. But that's kind of how I feel about every show that doesn't impress me. It's like, even if I just genuinely don't like it, it's like, I'm all for other people liking it. I'm all for other people, like, really getting a kick out of it and really finding it to be amazing. I love seeing people be passionate about stuff that I'm not. Because it means that those shows, those movies, those games, whatever, have an audience. And that means that the people who worked on them get to experience having their work seen and loved. And that's that makes it all worth it. Not everybody's gonna like it. Not everybody's gonna like anything. Like, there's some stuff that are more universally loved, but in the end there's still gonna be people who hate on it. That's just how it's gonna be. That's humanity. And that's fine. Like, we wouldn't be human if we didn't have differing opinions on things. That's very much a part of what makes us us, of what makes us individuals. So like I said, it's like, even if this show did end up fading for me, I'm still not going to like force my ideas on what it should be. I'm just going to say like, oh, it's not for me anymore. I lost interest in it. I'll say like, I wish it did this and all, but I'm not gonna like judge it too harshly, because again, it still has its audience, and that's what's important. And again, I want to make it clear, I'm not saying that's gonna happen, because right now I'm still very much into this show. I'm just saying, if it does happen, I want to make it clear that I'm not trying to be too harsh on this. I'm not trying to be like rude or mean or anything. I want to make that clear. But all of that being said, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of these episodes of Big City Greens? And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.